Hi everyone, how are you today? It's good to see you here in our session. By the way, I am teacher Ava and today we will explore another interesting topic. And I hope after this lesson you will have your takeaways. Now I have some questions. Who among you here has experienced an earthquake? How old were you when you first experienced it? What were you doing during that time? Can you still remember what happened during that moment? Will you please describe your experience? How does an earthquake occur? Now, I believe you have an amazing answers. This is what we're going to explore for today's lesson. Did you know that the Philippines is located in the Pacific Belt of Fire, or also known as the Pacific Ring of Fire? Beneath the ground and vast ocean is a plate system which continuously move that causes seismic activities based on plate tectonics theory. Due to this geographical location, our country is prone to massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions throughout the century. In this chapter, we will go about the factors as to how an earthquake happens and to show awareness of the precautionary measures to take before, during, and after an earthquake. Destructive earthquakes and tsunamis occur in between very long periods of time. For the first part of this lesson, we will look into the factors as to how and why an earthquake happens. As defined, it is an unexpected violent movement or shaking of the ground due to an energy release beneath the ground. There are three main parts to identify once an earthquake occurs. First is the focus, which refers to the main source of energy below the ground. And in order to identify the location of the energy release, the epicenter serves as the pinpoint as to where the focus of energy is happening. Most common earthquakes happen along active fault lines. An example of a fault line is the infamous San Andreas Fault Zone in California. A fault line zone has two parts that can move to different directions, up, down, or side to side, called the hanging wall and the footwall. A fault line is characterized as a thin zone of crushed rock or ground moving separately. In the Philippines, we also have a number of fault lines, and the most common one is the Marikina Valley Fault System. It is a dominantly dextral strike-slip fault system in Luzon, Philippines, stretching from Bulacan to Cavite and Laguna, a total of 132 kilometers, almost as the same size of the entire island of Cebu. There are actually a number of recognized earthquake fault lines within the Marikina Valley Fault System, the most significant of which are the 10-kilometer-long East Valley Fault in Rizal and the 100-kilometer-long West Valley Fault from Bulacan down through Cavite to Laguna. Either of both of these faults may slip with a jolt to dramatic effect at any time. Fault lines and trenches. Fault lines and trenches are scattered all over the country. The red line signifies the active fault lines. Refer to the legend on the upper right side of the screen to identify the faults and trenches. The heavy dashed line signifies fault approximations, meaning these fault lines are still yet to be identified as active or inactive that can help aware the community if there is a possible threat in the area. As discussed, an earthquake happens due to an energy release from the ground, and such seismic activities causes stress in the upper surface of our planet. The first category of stress is identified as ground tension. It is when the ground tears apart. The second type of stress is compression. It is when the ground is crushed or pushed towards each other that can form into mountains. The third type of stress is shearing. It is when the ground moves to opposite directions. Now let's have a closer look at the sequence as to how the stress is released during an earthquake. From the ground's undisturbed position to the sudden shaking causing for it to break apart in order for the energy to rupture. Once done, the ground stops shaking and resolves to a new position. At this juncture, we end the first part of our lesson. Next up, we will talk about the different types of faults and the general structure of the Earth. See you on the next one. Bye!